Excellent. So what was it exactly that brought you here now to do this job? Why did you choose this as your profession?
Yeah, so kind of I'll try to be descriptive without being long-winded, which is a challenge for me at times. In college, I knew a few things about myself. I knew I wanted to work with people. I knew I loved economics. That's what I studied. And I really didn't, and I knew that I wanted to have, I looked up to my brother-in-law and I believe my sister too, they had internships going into their senior year so that when they graduated, they didn't have the stress of, oh crap, what do I do now? Right? There's so many kids graduating from college this year, and every year that are like, they got this degree, now what do I do with it?
Right.
And now they got 6 months to a year where they don't know what to do. So I wanted to have a path. So I just started applying, and I got offered an internship with 5 or 6 companies in the financial planning area. And I was like, okay, maybe that's a sign. Maybe they're telling me what maybe the direction I should go. The first company I worked with was Foster Klima & Company, and that's actually how I moved home. I lived in the cities for 5 years, and I came back home because they gave me the opportunity to open my own office here, which I appreciated, and I loved working with them. They're a great company. No ill will towards Foster Klima. I just got to a point where I really wasn't happy with the direction that my business was going. Long story short, I feel like I was trying to do everything for everyone. And as a one-man shop, we have a team behind us, but as a one-man shop, it's a really stressful way to live. So the analogy I use is, Pizza Hut, if you're going to buy pizza, they want you to go there, but they aren't trying to sell you Subway subs, right? So that's where I feel like I was trying to sell everything to everyone. And I feel like that's the trap many people in my industry get into, is they try to do everything for everyone, and we can't be experts at everything. So I took a step back and I tried to figure out what is it that I believe about planning. And fortunately, my mentor was with Solid Rock Financial, and their beliefs and my beliefs just connected perfectly. And that all comes back to, for me, like I said, I love our country, but I don't believe our country, our government, or the stock market, or our financial institutions should be in control of our financial future. I believe we should be. Now, we can use their tools, but they shouldn't be in control, is the way I look at it. So that's really how I got to Solid Rock Financial Group, is that it affords me the opportunity to live in my hometown. My wife and I live within 2 blocks and 1.5 miles of both of our parents and her sister and her kids. I get to be involved in this community, as well as do something that I love, helping people live better, hopefully advance and live better or happier lives, I should say. So I think I answered the question. Oh, no. So as far as why I got into it, when I first fell into it, I had no idea why I wanted to do this business until I realized, not to be negative here, but a lot of people think, so like one of the biggest things that upsets me is what they call group plans. All right. Group health plans, group disability plans, group retirement plans.
Yep.
You see, I'm doing this a lot because they aren't plans, they're products. All right. So I always use golf analogies, as you've seen sometimes, but if you worked at a golf course and they said, hey, for working here, you automatically get to have 1 free driver. Is that a plan? No, it's a club. So many people show up to their work every day and they have their 60% group disability, they have their 1-time income life insurance, and they have their 3% 401k match. And those are all good because they're free. Those are good things. But they have this false sense of security that they're safe. Nope, I got my group plan, I'm fine. And it saddens me to see that because it's not their fault. No one's sitting them down and actually showing them how they work, right? HR professionals are great, but their job, from my understanding, is more to manage people and actually explain, this is what happens if you actually need to use this.
Right. All
right. So for me, my aunt, and I'm not going to get these years right, but my aunt back in 2010-ish, I believe, 2007-ish, somewhere in there, my aunt worked for the University of Minnesota, and she had group disability, she had group life insurance, and she got multiple sclerosis, or diagnosed with it. And unfortunately, from my understanding, I don't know their exact financial, but from my perspective, they didn't have the funds to pay for in-home assisted living in-home care or assisted living. So while I was living, I got to go to school, I got to do extracurricular activities. My uncle had to work more and my cousins had to go home and help take care of their mom after school. Because that's the group disability you get. It's there, but it's not perfect. And fast forward about 10 years, she passes away, and a couple months later, my uncle gets diagnosed with multiple myeloma. And that's a terminal cancer that attacks your white blood cells. Thankfully, he's still here today. And I hope my family doesn't mind me sharing that story. But it just showed me how important protection is, right? My industry, it's not a sexy conversation to talk about protection. It's not. It's a lot of times people just will call life insurance agents or disability insurance agents, I don't even know what they call them necessarily, but they get a bad rap.
Sure.
But it's not sexy to talk about protection, but it just showed me how important that conversation is, because so many people like my aunt had their group benefits and they just thought they were safe because they have this stuff, but they never really understood how it worked. So my goal is never to tell someone what they should do, but just to educate them on what they have and what their options are. And if you want to make a decision, great. So that's the protection side. That's what really got me passionate about this industry back with Foster Klima. And then the more and more I learned, I also got more passionate on the offensive side. I split everything offensively and defensively when it comes to, like I said, the growing and protecting of wealth, growing and protecting, not just growing, when planning for retirement. So long story short, studied economics, understood protection is important, joined Solid Rock Financial Group because their beliefs more aligned with my beliefs, and I created a more specific business strategy rather than trying to do everything for everyone. So did I answer your question? I might have failed the long-winded part, but I tried my best.
That was excellent. So it wasn't something where you were 8 years old and you were walking around interviewing people trying to help them plan their stuff out. It just you started learning about money and you kind of fell into a line that lined up with your values, and it gave you an opportunity to help people.
Absolutely.
Along those lines. That's awesome.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I going to college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just knew I loved Gopher sports.
Well, that's something to start with, and if that helps helps you build a solid strategy, by having a sports mind, then there you go. That plays. It's kind of funny you talk about like protection is not a sexy conversation, but it's absolutely important. If you don't have that protection, you're opening yourself up. There's a lot of corollaries to what I do. It's the same sort of thing. Posture is not sexy to talk about, but it's so important.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting how, like, I fell into what I'm doing. A lot of similar situations. You see what happens on the backside, and it kind of inspires you to want to do something about it.
Right.
That's cool.
And just to add one more sports analogy, I challenge anyone who watches this or conversates with me to name a single sports team that was great with just an offense. And what I mean by that is my industry, it's so easy to sell the offensive side, the stock market, 401ks, like mutual funds. That's easy stuff. People get allured by the marketing of growing your money. But if we don't have a defensive protection plan in addition to that, do we really have a plan? Or do we just have tools? Right? There's a difference between having tools and having a plan. And I'm not trying to bash anyone for one or the other. I just really hope that I can bring to light the importance of having both, or at least having a discussion.
So it's not just that you're making people rich, it's helping them stay rich. It's helping them stay rich. That's where the protection comes in.
Sure. In the eyes of the squirts, yes. I guess you could say that.
Well, it's not just what you make, it's what you keep, right?
Exactly.
That's important. Okay, cool.